have been made bare, and he has not had the courage to apologize to the Nigerian people, and particularly the people of southern Kaduna. When truth needs to be told, it should be told and should be handled likewise. And when people decide to play politics with the lives of people, and you lie, the lie will get back to you, and the truth will always prevail no matter how long. But that is the thing that never changes.
But does the issue of sponsors arise here?
Of course, in whatever way, you know that there must be sponsors. How do they get their arms? How do they get the food and everything? We had 1,000,001 checkpoints in southern Kaduna. How do they pass without being dictated by the military? But it was alleged that these people had arms and food and other things dropped for them in the middle of the night using helicopters. We said it a number of times that some of these things were happening. Why has the government or the Air Force dictated these things and stopped them? And even in most of these places, do you think they can just be walking around with AK-47 and nobody bothers? The police, the army, the Air Force, the Navy, and all other security agencies cannot disarm them? Has one single person been arrested? One, right. Just one. Whether you are talking of Benue, or you are talking of southern Kaduna, or you are talking of Enugu, or you are talking of Edo or Delta and other things, can people ordinarily just go and take over schools? You saw on the University of Abuja, why should herdsmen be mixing with children and they are seated and they are doing everything together? Do the cows know them, or do they know the cows?
One of the things you said in your opening is that they are still occupying those villages.
Yes.
And you know, there will be people who will say, no, that's not exactly
then
the case.
Let us go back there and see. We go with the military, the army, and all.
Which of the villages are these?
I can't start naming all the villages,
not
but there are
villages.
And I've said it here before, you know, and there are villages still being occupied by these people in southern Kaduna. Let the military clear those villages and allow the indigents to go back. Let the government take control of rebuilding the houses of these people that were destroyed and burnt. Let them provide even IDPs. Let the state government or the federal government give them food and shelter. Let them help them in any form. Nothing like that has ever happened. What is the difference between this one and the Boko Haram? If people are dying, no medications. And I told you here that in Kafanchan issue on the Christmas Eve or whatever it was, we had even the general hospital in Kafanchan locked. So even the people that were injured and hurt and in one way or the other did not even have where to get.
All right, let's get Marquez's question
for purpose of maximum casualties. That is my interpretation of that.
Yeah, just wondering, you say that you read the story as we read it as well. You have not been there, and so you might not be able to say for sure what is happening on the ground, yet you speak so strongly on it.
I speak so strongly on it based on the facts of the past, which I have. And I told you here that on the eve of the crisis in Kafanchan, which has been the worst, we saw trucks, we saw armored tanks that passed there. The soldiers were there. And when those people ran to them as we went to investigate, they said they were not given orders to defend the local people. And there was curfew 24 hours. How did the killers get to the places and started killing our people? That is the question you have to ask too. You know, so if these people exist, do I need to ask more questions? I have said here, I do not support, and in my village, and in several parts of southern Kaduna, nobody will just go out to kill an ordinary Fulani man. And an ordinary Fulani man does not have the ability, the capability, and the capacity to just go and be buying AK-47 and be walking with big guns and start killing people. And I've said here, how many times have you seen local Fulani people without their families, without their cows and their children and all whatnot? These so-called herdsmen, they just carry AK-47. They don't. Where do they settle? The Fulani, ordinary Fulani herdsman, you can go and identify where he stays. But I have said categorically that they are being used. The terrorists key into it. I said that an average AK-47 costs about 400,000. How many of them can afford that? Will sell 8 cows to buy one?
You can go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm saying that you're making a lot of inference from what has happened in the past, but don't you think that every case should be taken on a case-by-case basis? Because what we hear or what we understand happened in this was more like a community clash between two different communities, and it would seem that now they're saying, I mean, we understand that quite a number of Fulanis, quite a number of local Fulanis were heavily affected in this particular communal conflict, which could have been as a result of a lack of trust from what has happened in the past.
That is why I have said I cannot comment on what I don't have first-hand information. If I go there and I hear and I see and I discuss with the local people, then I can comment. And my comments are not based on what has happened recently. But my inference is that there can be no justice because somebody said on this forum, was it yesterday or the day before, if you do not or if you tolerate murderers, you are encouraging murder. If the government fails, refuses deliberately or gives the impression that they are in support of such impunity, there will be no end, even if you have peace meetings every single minute of your life in whatever community you find yourself. And that is why I'm saying they have to correct the injustice that has been perpetrated in the past before you can get the kind of justice that you required. And the injustice is being perpetrated across the country, not just southern Kaduna. Do you see it? And you have selective kind of attending to such injustice. For example, the Minister of Interior, who is from Kano, he lived in Kaduna for ages. Has he ever been to any part of southern Kaduna? But it was not difficult for him to go to Oshun or to go to Taraba and several other top government officials. How many of them have gone to southern Kaduna that has suffered worst criminality of such nature? How many of them? And is it not giving the impression that, look, those people have the right to do what they should do? Is that not what you are saying? So, and if you say, oh, there is peace, and they disappear, and they plant, and they come back, and in my view now, as what is happening, by the time the army and the police leave Kajuru, maybe the massacre is going to take place. So I don't know how long they are going to be there. So does but that justice has to be done. And be seen it has been done, and there should be no respect for anybody that is murdering other people.
All right, let's go to break. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go away.